we are going to take a look at the international window of July. The NPC starts this weekend in New Zealand. The Currie Cup has kicked off, and we have two champions in Super Women's Rugby. Hello and welcome to the Rugby Roundup with Big Mike here on the 29th of July 2026. It is I, Big Mike, here at Big Mike Sports to talk to you about everything happening in our beautiful game. Yes, we are back, and hopefully it's third time's a charm after starting recording the roundup for the last couple of weeks, but having to stop because of sick children in my house. But today we're going to get to what we need to get to. But enough of all that. Let's get to the roundup, and we're going to go back a few weeks and talk about the Nations Championship and the Nations Cup. So, the Nations Championship first three games have concluded, and let's look at where the teams are sitting. Starting with the Southern Hemisphere squads, top of the table are South Africa, and that is because at home they defeated England 45-21. Then had an amazing game against Scotland, probably one of the games of the international window. They beat them 42 points to 28, and they were up 35-14 after 67 before the Scottish came back to be within a try. With just 3 minutes left, South Africa did score one more, one of the great games of the window. They ended it 43-zip over Wales. South Africa, top of the table, 3 wins, 3 bonus points, points differential, 81. Behind them, 3 games, 3 wins, points to 51, are the All Blacks, and that is because they had that narrow victory against France, 34-32. Then against Italy, they got a home victory, 47-17. And finally, a great one against the third-ranked team in the world, Ireland, 40 points to 21. And we, of course, lump these two teams together because not this weekend, but the weekend after, New Zealand starts that big, huge tour of South Africa. So New Zealand go into that tour after a 3-game series where their 9, their 10, their hooker, their captain, all of these positions, their 15, having Will Jordan on the wing, all of these things seem secure. Meanwhile, South Africa, over their 3 games, or over their 4 games if you include their game with the Barbarians, played 50 different players. So New Zealand will start that tour against the URC squads from South Africa. And South Africa, before playing New Zealand 4 times, we'll make a quick trip over to Argentina for a one-off test. Then on the table in third, we have Australia, and the Wallabies went down in that close one, 33-31 to Ireland. Then, after leading at halftime against France, 21-12, shocking second half had the Wallabies going down 42 points to 26. But in their third game, something happened in that first half, and they went into halftime against Italy 38-5 up before finishing this one 57 points to 10. So Wallabies 8 points on the table, 1 win from 3, but 4 bonus points, thanks to a couple of close, high-scoring losses. Argentina 1 point behind them on 7. They started out by having that big loss to Scotland at home. Fun game, 47-38. Then got a good victory, 35-21 over Wales, before the juicy one in Argentina, 31-24 to England. This is the game where unfortunately Angus Gardner, my wife's favourite referee, was treated very poorly. Couple of calls were a bit funny according to the Argentinians. It was messy. The Argentina squad had just beaten England in the Soccer World Cup, and the Pumas wore a jersey very similar to Maradona's Hand of God jersey from that quarterfinal all those years ago. Plus, the Falklands. Anyway, Argentina sit in 4th. Japan sit in 5th because they started that competition 27-10 over Italy before going down in Newcastle against Ireland because Ireland needed, they didn't want to do all that travel so they could prep for the All Blacks, and they lost anyway. It was 36-20 to Ireland over Japan. Japan brought this one back to 26-20 with 20 minutes left before Ireland scored all the last points. And in the last weekend, big sellout in Japan, but France, with a whole bunch of their superstars, beat Japan 42-15. And then finally at the bottom of the table we have Fiji, who lost to Wales 39-24, lost to England 73 points to 8, and had a bit of fight in their final game against Scotland before losing 33-17. Unfortunately for Fiji, they hired a coach from Fiji after having some very experienced coaches start up and leave. They unceremoniously got rid of Mick Byrne, who was building on what Simon Rauluni was building, who was building on what Vern Cotter was building. This is a team that made it to the quarterfinals at the last World Cup and have now reached a very low point. Players have come out saying that they've been treated like children. The coach is saying, hey, give us time. The Prime Minister has outright said that he told the Fijian Rugby Union to get rid of the old coach and hire this guy. So, bit of stuff going on. Fijian public are not very happy with how their team has performed, plus the fact that the Fijian Rugby Union were not able to host these games. And if we look to the Northern Hemisphere Conference, France is sitting on top on 12 points, 2 wins from 3. Scotland also 2 wins from 3 on 11 points. England and Ireland also 2 wins from 3 on 10. No unbeaten Northern Hemisphere squads. Wales had that victory, sitting on 5 points, and Italy, very disappointing. Nothing from 3 games. So what is next? New Zealand and South Africa have New Zealand and South Africa. Australia have got a fun little few games. They are away and home to Japan before a 2-game series in Argentina, then a one-off game against the Springboks, and then away and home against the All Blacks in the Bledisloe Cup before continuing their Nations Championship journey. Japan, as I mentioned, have that away and home game against Australia. Then in September have the Pacific Nations Cup, which unfortunately has had no bites from Tonga and Samoa. So it is Japan and Fiji taking on Canada and the USA. And if we connect up all these dots, Argentina are playing South Africa, then have 2 games against Australia before they start the Nations Championship. Now let's have a look at the Nations Cup, starting with the Americas Pacific pool. And the USA are unbeaten 3 from 3 after their 3 home games. They beat Portugal 30-29. They beat Zimbabwe 31-15, and they held off a rampaging Spain 29-22. Behind them are Chile, who are 2 games from 3 after their home games. They beat Romania 48-31. They beat Hong Kong 38-17, and in a battle of unbeaten squads at the time, they went down large. They went down to Georgia 49-22. Samoa. Yes, Samoa, Tonga, and Canada are all one win from 3 games. Samoa beat Hong Kong 66-19 before they went down to Georgia 33-12 and finished off with a very close 38-37 loss to Romania. Very fun game. And Tonga, they beat Zimbabwe 36-26 before going down to Spain 32-19 and finally Portugal 32-28. Canada actually started off with that draw, remember, 42-42 against Spain. They went down big to Portugal, 38-14, and they beat Zimbabwe just 23-19. Bottom of this table with a draw and 2 losses are Uruguay. So, they lost to Georgia in a close one, 41-34. They drew with Romania 36-all, and then massive upset in the last game for them. Thanks to a 79th minute penalty, they lost to Hong Kong 42-40. So it's USA, Chile, Samoa, Tonga, Canada, and Uruguay in the Europe, Africa, Asia pool. Georgia undefeated, 3 from 3. Portugal also undefeated, 2 wins and... No, they're not, Michael. 2 wins and a loss. Spain and Romania, both 1-1-1. So 1 win, 1 draw and 1 loss. Hong Kong, huge upset. Got that victory in the final game. 1 win, 2 losses. And Zimbabwe, unfortunately, could not win anything. Europe are going to host all of the games in the November window. Now, what happened in the Under-20 World Champs in Georgia? The semi-finals, France defeated New Zealand 26-22. That was thanks to a 76th minute try. And England were put away by South Africa 53-37 in the final. South Africa won a low-scoring game. This one was 16-5. It was 6-0 at half-time and 6-5 with just 15 minutes left. New Zealand beat England for third, 41-26. Scotland beat Wales for fifth, 28-21. Australia beat Argentina for seventh, 52-29. Ireland came ninth. Italy came 10th. Fiji came 11th. Georgia came 12th. Japan 13. Spain 14. USA 19th. And Uruguay last. And the Currie Cup Premier competition has started. So this is representative teams from the Sharks, Stormers, Lions and Bulls, the URC squads in South Africa, and the top 4 places, or top 4 teams that came out of that South Africa Cup. We're talking the Pumas, the Griquas, the Cheetahs, and the Bowling Cavaliers. So after 2 weeks, the Cheetahs and the Bowling Cavaliers are the only 2 teams yet to be defeated. The Cheetahs took down a Lions squad at 29-27 and the Sharks 15, 43-21, whereas the Cavaliers beat the Bulls 15-24-10, and they demolished a Stormers 23, that's what they're called, 41-3. Bottom of the table, we have the Pumas and the Bulls 15, who are both winless. Reminders to any listeners out there, these are the Currie Cup squads, not the URC squads that will be taking on the All Blacks. The Cheetahs are taking on the Griquas this week, and the Bowling Cavaliers are taking on the Pumas. Super Rugby Opiki finished on the weekend with one of the most fun games I've seen in a while on a very quiet rugby weekend last weekend. It was the Matatu hosting the Blues women in Christchurch. At half-time, it was 14-7 Matatu. And then, in the 71st minute, the Blues got up 21 points to 14. They then gave away a yellow card with 3 minutes left. Georgia Ponsonby scored a try, followed by a conversion by Maya Joseph. At 80 minutes, it was 21-all. But the Blues didn't give up, and they went to the corner. And for some reason, she was a substitute. We don't know why. But Caitlin Vahakolo, she scored in the 83rd minute. Out wide on the left, Rua Haydeman got that conversion because that's what she does. The Blues won this one, 28 points to 21. They are now the dominant force after winning 3 in a row. But their season is not done because this weekend they are travelling to Australia to face the winners of Super W. The Fijiana Drua hosted the Waratahs. But unfortunately, by 55 minutes, the Waratahs squad were winning 24 points to 0. The Drua got back a little bit, but this one ended 34-17 to the Waratahs women, who were very upset during the season after losing 2 games. They did come back. After finishing 3rd and winning their semi-final against the Western Force to take this competition, it will be hard to see them doing anything against this Blues squad in the rubber last year. It was also the Blues taking on the Waratahs, and it was 36 points to 5. Otago are going to go into the new NPC season in New Zealand as the Ranfurly Shield holders, after defeating Mid-Canterbury 78 points to 14. And speaking of the NPC, it kicks off this weekend. It is the big 50-year celebration, as the first real season happened in 1976. Reminder, last year's final, Canterbury defeated Otago 36 points to 28. They finished first and second on the table. The other semi-finalists were the Bay of Plenty and Hawke's Bay. So, let's look at our preview for the newly sponsored Hilux NPC. Not the Bunnings NPC, not the Mitre 10 NPC, not the Air New Zealand NPC, but the Hilux NPC. Okay. Our top contenders. Canterbury, of course, they are going to this one as the defending champions. But who's back for Canterbury this season? Richie Mo'unga. Also, we've got Taranaki. They are a very stacked squad with a lot of Super Rugby players just on the cusp of All Blacks. Hawke's Bay look to continue with a bit more power. They also signed Australian Darby Lancaster, who will be playing for the Blues next year. And, of course, they have new players, but Wellington, the Lions, look to have a good season. Otago, defending runner-ups. They have signed some players from Moana Pacifica, so hopefully they have a good season as well. Let's look at our other teams. Auckland, very disappointing squad last year. They finished 12th out of 14, but a lot of their young players played very well in Super Rugby. Waikato also looking to continue their momentum, but do have some players in the All Blacks. Same with Bay of Plenty. The Tasman Mako, well, they have got players like Finlay Christie, who are no longer All Blacks. They are, of course, the second team that boost up the Crusaders, and they have the returning Shannon Frizzell. Other squads, Manawatu, North Harbour, North Harbour are looking like they could be a fun team this year. They've got the return of Bryn Hall, former Crusaders halfback. He's been playing in Japan, and he has 99 caps to his name. Then the Taniwha. Oh, wow. I hope they do well. They've got a few players coming back. They've got some good experience, and also counties. Counties Monaco. I know some of our listeners are counties fans, but losing a couple of big players, I don't think Cam Roygaard's ever going to play for you ever again. Counties. And then we've got Southland. Southland have signed a couple of Japanese dudes. They have a nice pathway system with one of the top 14 clubs. But again, it's Southland. Who am I picking? I think it has to be Canterbury, right? But then you've got Taranaki, Hawke's Bay. I'm actually picking Otago because they're going to have a bit of fight. And wouldn't it be fun to see the blue and yellow on top once again? Hopefully my Auckland do not repeat what they did last year and shit the bed. So what games do we have this weekend? Well, my beloved Auckland have to play Canterbury in Canterbury. Not excited for this one. Otago, so the team that came second last year, are away from home against Southland. They should get a good victory in that one. We start the season with a banger. It is Waikato hosting Bay of Plenty. And then we've got Tasman hosting North Harbour. Counties Monaco will be looking to start strong, but do take on a strong Taranaki squad. Northland and Manawatu, two weaker squads looking to have a good start. And the other banger of the weekend, we've got Wellington taking on Hawke's Bay. For the first time since 1994, there is a Commonwealth Games with no sevens. Cool. Next weekend, we have the start of rugby's greatest rivalry tour, as well as the first game between Japan and Australia, and Argentina are taking on South Africa. Somehow, we will only be 5 weekends away once we get to this weekend from the start of the top 14 and the Premiership again, a bit longer until we get to the URC. No Big Mike's Big 3 this weekend as we only have a few competitions going, but if you want some fun, check out that first weekend of the NPC, in particular the opener Waikato versus Bay of Plenty and Wellington versus Hawke's Bay. I'll be watching Canterbury versus Auckland with bated breath, but also realism. Oh, remember 2018? I remember 2018. Also, how about Ma'anonu signing a developmental sort of mentorship thing with the Sharks in South Africa? Yet another team to add to his list. It doesn't look like a playing contract, but wouldn't it be fun to see him take on the All Blacks in that tour in a few weeks' time? Anyway, that's enough for me. We got back on the roundup. Holy moly, we nearly went the last few weeks of July, a very exciting few weeks of July, without talking about rugby, and we can't have that. The Nations Cup was wicked. It was even better than the top tier stuff. We've had a few champions crowned, and we are about to get into some juicy Southern Hemisphere rugby. NPC is back, the Heartland Championship will be back soon, Currie Cup's going on, there's a women's game. Go and have a beautiful week and watch some beautiful rugby. It's on Channel 1 back home.